As a world-famous video game critic with an attractive accent, thick head of glorious hair, enormous barrel chest, and who has recently gotten over several self-esteem issues, people often ask me about my methods. Well, first figure out how to totally delude yourself. No, Yahtzee, your game reviewing methods. Do you prepare before you start playing? Do you take notes? Take notes? Ooh, look at me with my little notepad, licking my pencil, wearing my hat with the card that says press on it, and staying completely sober, like a fucking try-hard. No, I go with my gut. I play games trying to push all thoughts of critique out of my mind, and only afterwards ask myself, was I enjoying that? And when I have an answer, I think back and interrogate that feeling. Why was I enjoying it? Was it fun to play? Or was it the rubbing alcohol? So going through that process, Eternal Strands is a game I was enjoying, and it couldn't have been rubbing alcohol, because my doctor says I need to lay off while we see if my body's rejecting the donated liver. So there must have been something I liked about it. Let's see if we can figure out what that was together. First things first, was it the title? No, it fucking sucks. Doesn't tell you shit. Sounds like what a romance novelist would name a hairdresser's shop. Second thing second, is it the visual design? Nope. I gather this is a debut game for the studio, if not the individuals involved, and it uses the visual style known as "this is the developer's first game.png. Generic fantasy world with heavy World of Warcraft vibes, big environments, slightly quirky architecture, nice inoffensive colour scheme, character portraits straight from somebody's college game design degree art portfolio. The plot is, we are Bryn, generic fantasy adventurer protagonist person, noteworthy only for her apparent aversion to vowels. We join a caravan of magical scientists investigating a mysterious land that has been sealed off for decades after a magical disaster, and somehow shit gets fucky and we get stuck inside the barrier. So was it the characters you liked, Yahtzee? Not really. It's nice to have a whole support team chipping in on our missions, Metal Gear Solid style, but for that to work, the support team can't be a bunch of big boring bastards. They're a diverse group of terribly civilized fantasy people who are a bit quirky, but all very professional and understanding and nice and get along without any of that drama and interpersonal conflict that makes a cast the slightest bit actually interesting. And they've all got a bad case of need to re-establish my personality with my every cocking line of dialogue-itis. Well, speaking as the archivist daughter of an elven archmage rebelling against their family, yeah, don't pad your timesheet, dialogue writer. Sometimes a simple go kill that dragon is all you need. So by process of elimination, was it the gameplay you liked, Yahtzee? What kind of game is it? Well, in brief, it's a gear grinder. Don't run away just yet. It's a gear grinder with an extraction element. No, look, stay here, let me finish. It's no use, I locked all the fucking doors. The format is, you have a base camp and mount expeditions to one of several open-ended areas to fight the local monsters, collect crafting materials, and maybe pursue a story objective or two if you're a good little tryhard. Then perhaps 'twas the combat system that worked your shaft, Yahtzee. No, enemy variety's not up to much. You chip away at the spongy health bars of wolves, wasps, and robots in a manner about as cathartic as whittling a tent peg. There's this elemental damage system where you can both freeze things and light stuff on fire, but all I usually did was encase every single enemy in the starting ice wall power, and then chip away at my leisure, and then there was even less enemy variety, because I was attacking nothing but giant stationary blue popsicles. Once you've filled your backpack's 7 condom packets worth of inventory space, you head back to camp to see if there's anything new you can craft. Well, I assume it wasn't the crafting you liked, Yahtzee. Yahtzee? It wasn't the fucking crafting. Okay, shut the fuck up, Yahtzee! The thing is, and I don't think it's the first game to do this, the recipes are completely unspecific. It just says, a stone, a leather, any leather. So you don't have to hang around Area A grinding up a very specific kind of wasp foreskin. You can substitute with wolf scrotums if that's all you've got kicking around, and it'll make perfectly functional underpants, just with different stats. So as long as I was picking up decent materials, I could relax about psychotically loading up on every leaf, stick, and disembodied nether region available on the off chance they'd be needed. I could focus on exploring the pretty environment, filling out the map, skipping through the meadows, setting fire to things, and after I'm loaded up on bullshit and done a quest objective or two, I might say to myself, alright, I've done good work, maybe I'll reward myself with a quick giant robot fight. The way I look over a shopping cart full of vegetables and healthy protein and think, yes, I've done some excellent grown-up shopping, time to fill all the remaining space with jam donuts. Oh yes, I forgot to mention there's giant monster fights, and those are where it gets interesting. In contrast to the standard combat that's like using a hammer to break open gobstoppers that won't stop rolling off the kitchen counter, the giant monsters are Shadow of the Colossus, crawl around a big bastard's armpits, knifing his sensitive areas affairs, but they aren't so big as to require a massive commitment. They're the 6-piece McNugget boxes, the Shadow of the Colossus' artfully crafted coq au vin, but well implemented for all that. You kill them once to learn a new spell, then upgrade that spell by killing them again in a specific way. Hey, wait a second, Yahtzee. Expeditions from base camp, collecting crafting materials, crawling all over a giant monster's pubes, trying to kill it in highly specific ways. Isn't this just Monster Hunter? You know what, if it helps get things in perspective, yes, it's Fisher-Price Monster Hunter. It's the theme park version of Monster Hunter, where you can pick a fight with a huge bastard without feeling like you need to commit to chasing it through the undergrowth for an hour and a half after you make its poor little toesy-woesies hurt too much. As I said, Eternal Strands comes from a debut studio, and that certainly comes across. The generic art and setting and the combination of gameplay elements cribbed from the creator's favourite classic games, all of this yells first game foot in the door. But there's enough unique about the combination to make it worth a look, much more so in the first half when there's still a sense of exploration and discovery. In the second half, basically all the story quests come down to go to place you've already been like 3 times and randomly piss about until whatever piece of paper you're currently looking for is close enough to make the objective marker pop up. Still, I would call Eternal Strands a very solid starting point. point. You know how Pablo Picasso started out doing normal, boring, realistic portraits of people, and then once he demonstrated understanding of the rules, he could proceed to break them and do all his weird career-defining stuff? That's what Eternal Strands is. It's Picasso's boring early stuff. A perfectly well put together demonstration that the developers understand the principles. Now I want to see them make some motherfucking art. Make a game about a lady with both ears on the same side of her head, and a 1955 Morris Minor instead of an arse.
This video is brought to you by GameMaker. If you've ever wanted to get into game development, GameMaker does this really crazy thing where it's free. Just start making and only pay when you want to release your game to the world commercially.
It's fast, it's user-friendly, and there's easy-to-follow tutorials, plus a dedicated community to help answer even my questions. How make man jump? GameMaker is a 2D game engine that's helped bring some of yours and my favorite recent experiences to life, like UFO 50, Chicory, Anton Blast, and of course, Yahtzee's own Starstruck Vagabond.
Ooh, are we talking about GameMaker? I love that program, it's so easy to use. As well as Starstruck Vagabond, I also used it to make all 12 projects in my 12 games in 12 months Dev Diary challenge. And I couldn't believe how much sex I got out of that. None. I got none at all. Which I couldn't believe.
So what are you waiting for? Head on over to the GameMaker link in the description and start cracking away today, because we want to play your game.
Yeah, looking through this list, I'm seeing one of you made Armpit Fart Tycoon, and I've got several questions for you.